Hey, how's it going? It's been a minute. Lots changed. I'm sure lots changed with you too. I moved, and so I'm no longer the mobile homestead because I don't live in a mobile home, so that doesn't really make much sense anymore. Kind of rebranded myself. Now I'm My Homestead Classroom, and I've also got a whole new garden set up. Want to see it? Right? Alright, let's go check it out. There it is. It's huge, right? Like, step up from just buckets. Kind of nice. Aww, isn't that amazing? It's one of my favorite things. Lots of different plants going on, so I'm gonna try and keep it as succinct as possible, being it's the first garden tour in so long, just to kind of introduce you to everything in the grand layout. So let's get started. So pretty obvious, the garden's split right down the middle to kind of make some zones. There's also different like sunlight that each side gets. This side over here tends to get more hours of sunlight than these because of these trees we have right here. Not much I can really do about it right now, so just working with it. On this side here, lots of stuff in pots as well. Tried to utilize all of the containers that I brought with me from my old place, but in the ground, these are some honey nut squash plants that really just started taking off in the past like week and a half. They've probably added like all of this height in about a week just with all the rain that we've had and finally getting a few days of sun to like give them a boost. I've got these T-posts going up right here for them. I don't have them secured yet, but I'm going to. But my idea is training them up that, keeping them off the ground. Hopefully I'll have maybe less pests and disease issues to deal with. Next row is all beans right now, and I have a couple of varieties. This first one is Blue Lake Bush Bean, which only had 2 plants actually pull through from the seeds that I planted, but really surprised they're doing anything. Here's a marigold. I have a few of these all around the garden from Walmart clearance racks. It was like 87 cents for an 8-pack, and all of them were basically dead, but they're coming back all around. One of them is actually flowered that you'll see. These ones that have all really taken off here, these are all dragon tongue bush beans, and let me see if I can find some. They have really nice kind of purpley flowers. The beans themselves are like a green bean but with like brown. Oh, here's a good example. It's like green with purple splotches all over it. I've also got some basil that I plugged in here just because there was a third variety of bean that I planted that none of them sprouted. So to fill the gap, I got some basil, and then this is actually a celery plant that I bought at the store and used, put the butt of it in a cup of water, and it sprouted roots. Got some stuff in pots here as well. This is some lavender that I got from a local nursery. This is a weed. This one should have been catnip, but it's been gotten to by squirrels and they've dug it all up. This is some more basil, which is getting nice and bushy. I keep kind of plucking a little bit of it. See, here's a really good example of how basil works. So basil's got this one stem right here, but then it wants to send out these little side shoots. So if I pluck this one stem, then it makes space for those two to start. And that's how you get a nice bushy plant. So I've got this that I can use right now, and then that'll just give me more basil, which of course is what I want. This is apple mint that I had from last year. Just came right back in the same pot. I'm keeping it in that pot. Don't ever put mint in the ground unless you want it everywhere. One of my first cucumber plants here, this is the pickle bush cucumber, and just this morning I saw that it's setting flowers, so starting to get somewhere with that. Here's the dill plant that I have on this side. Doing much better because it gets a lot more sun. It's actually starting to set flowers, which I'm totally okay with it doing. One of many tomato plants. I have 17 tomato plants this year, you guys. Oh my gosh, why do I have so many tomato plants? Because I have too many seeds. This is Costaludo Florentino is the variety. And it's one of those like heirloom varieties that have all the little wrinkles in them. This is a ground cherry plant, and us up here in the north don't really know much about ground cherries. I found this out from watching Jess over at Roots and Refuge YouTube channel. It's pretty popular in the south. The plant itself is in the tomatillo family. It's, you know, tomatillos, those little green tomato-looking things used to make salsa verde. The berry that you eat is inside of this little papery husk that's on here. And the reason they're called ground cherries is because you don't actually pick them off the plant. You wait until they ripen and fall on the ground. And it's really easy to spot them. I don't have any right now because I got them all this morning. Oh, wait, is this one? Yeah, this one fell in between. See, they turn this kind of nice golden color, so it makes it really easy to tell. There was a green one that actually got knocked off the other day, and I found it on the ground and I tried it. It was so sour. But yeah, you just kind of pop it right out of the husk, and it's this nice, round little, delicious thing. There's a nice little pop to it, like a cherry tomato, like a tiny little cherry tomato. So, if that's like a texture that you don't really like, I wouldn't recommend it. Flavor-wise, it's like a pineapple and a tomato had a baby. It's got this citrusy, very, very pineapple-forward flavor up front, and then finishes with tomato. And like consistency-wise, it's like a tomato as well. So, yeah, really nice, really unique. One of my favorite things about gardening is I get to try food that I've never tried before, so that's pretty cool. Next to the ground cherries, I've got 4 eggplant plants, 2 different varieties. These first 2 are called Shooting Star, and the plant itself has really nice... Okay, so first off, I didn't realize that eggplant plants are spiked. There's spikes all over them. Like, they have really tiny ones that come out of the middle of the veins on the leaves, and they're really hard to see, but they're also all over the flowers, so it's kind of like touching a cactus a little bit when you touch it, but look how pretty this flower is. And then these 2, you can tell that they're going to be darker because they've got this dark purple veining. These are just Black Beauty eggplants. But yeah, even the flower you can kind of tell is a lot darker because the fruit itself is also going to be darker, so that's pretty neat. Finishing up this row is my first 2 tomato plants on the cattle panels. These, I actually don't know what they are. I got a mystery seed packet from M.I. Gardner, and I knew that they were tomato seeds when I opened it up, but there's no way for me to tell the variety. So far, it looks like just kind of a nice slicing tomato. You can see that one set a few on a bunch, so we'll see kind of as they ripen if they change color or do any kind of neat patterns or anything. And then sprouting right here, I've got a borage plant, hopefully to just attract some pollinators and stuff, but we'll see if it really starts taking off. And then the next 2 rows on the cattle panels are nothing but tomatoes. So I'll just kind of run down with the varieties. Here's another of the marigolds that I bought. This one and this one, these first 2 are the Costaludo Florentinos again, just like I had in the blue bucket over there. And then next up, I meant to put the 2 next to each other, but I actually went like A, B on accident. This is a yellow stuffer, and then so is that one down there. And then this one and the one on the end are Amish paste tomatoes. So those are aroma. And the yellow stuffer is supposed to be like a yellow bell pepper and a tomato had a baby. So the finished fruit should mature to a nice yellow, and the actual tomato itself shouldn't have really many gel or seeds, and it should be pretty hollow inside. So my thought is, like, instead of doing stuffed peppers, doing stuffed tomatoes and seeing how that works out. And I gotta say, the yellow stuffer variety is so far the best fruit set I've had. Like, look at just this one plant. Let's see if I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 21, 22, just on this one plant. Holy tomatoes, Batman. And then rounding out this corner, I've got the last yellow stuffer, which this plant is not as big and bushy as the ones that are in the ground, but it still has some really nice fruit set that I'm really excited to get. So I'm gonna put this basil and bean down. It's at a point I really need to start bringing out a basket with me because I just randomly pick stuff while I'm out here and then I don't have anywhere to put it as I go around. Last of the cattle panel rows, got my cherry tomatoes. So I've got 2 Isis candy cherry. Before anyone says anything dumb, that's Isis, like the Egyptian goddess. Next door there are 2 super sweet hybrid 100s, which are setting really nice groupings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boop, boop, boop. It's like getting to the time of year where you have to kind of walk through like, excuse me, oh, pardon me, oh, excuse me. This one is the underdog of the whole tomato group. It is by far the shortest, but really pulling through, and actually has some fruit set, so that's pretty nice. This rhubarb plant is the only thing that was here in this garden that came back on its own, and I've left it. I haven't done anything to it other than clear out a ton of weeds that were in there with it, and honestly there's still a bunch. I could do more. I more or less just wanted to let this go for the entire year, see how it does on its own, and just give it the space to kind of come back from whatever garden conditions existed before I got here. And next spring I'll do my first harvest off of it and see kind of what I can get going. This bucket I have another cucumber plant. This one is Patio Champion Hybrid, and also started just opening flowers in the last like day or so, so that's pretty cool. And another subarctic plenty tomato. This one is also setting off some, and I gotta get it tied up again actually. It's starting to hang over into the final cucumber bucket. This one is a white wonder cucumber. These ones are not gonna be green, hence the name. This square bucket is Oklahoma white zinnias, and I'm not sure, it looks like some of them might be getting to a point where they're gonna make a flower head. There's gonna come a point in this garden where all of the flowers that I have finally open, and it's gonna be brilliant. But it looks like we're a little ways off still. And then this black bucket is a really fun experiment with a potato. I just had a potato in the pantry that sprouted green stuff, and rather than pitching it, threw it in this bucket with originally some dirt, got it covered, and then as it started to sprout and grow out of that, I started burying it in straw and just let it grow, buried it more, let it grow, buried it more, and finally got to the point where I can't add any more. It started to send off some flowers, which, PSA, flowers coming from potatoes do produce a berry sometimes. That berry is poisonous, never edible, don't eat it. It should at some point then start to die back in a couple of months, and at that point my plan is to dump it out on a tarp for harvest, and the fact that it's not in dirt should make harvest a lot easier. Pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. And one more tomato plant, because why not? A couple of basils down here too. Notice they're not doing so hot, and it's because they were in the area of the garden that I'm about to show you where it actually gets more shade. This is chamomile that I got as a nice start that I actually bought one start for one price. They charged me for one, but inside of the plant bucket was 2 chamomile plants. So I separated it out, put one in this pot, and then I put one on the other side of the garden in the ground just to kind of do a comparison, see which one does better. And then here is some zinnias with some creeping jenny. That creeping jenny, that like light yellow green stuff, is something that I brought with me from the old garden actually, that overwinters all the time in any pot that I have it in. So every year I just take it and you can rip it apart. It's one of those plants where if any of the stem touches the ground, it's going to send out a root. So it makes for great ground cover, and it really nicely fills in pots like this and just spills over the side. And then yeah, it comes back every year, so give a little bit of it, let it thrive, and then you can use it to fill in more spaces every year. It's awesome. I think this greenhouse is so cool. It was $40 at Tractor Supply, and one of the biggest, or really the only negative review for it that I saw, was that it has a tendency to blow away or give way to the wind. But what I did to kind of combat that is, since I kind of determined this was going to be a permanent space, there's actually 4 shelves, 1, 2, 3, 4, but the 4th one I buried in that layer of mulch. I've got the flap that comes down around the outside of it buried in rocks and mulch as well, and I've had 0 issues so far this entire year. We've had some hella rainstorms. This is actually the first time I'm trying to use it to grow some stuff. My attempt at a fall garden has begun. So I've got Brussels sprouts of 2 varieties, some cauliflower, cabbages, and a few different kinds of broccoli, and almost every single cell has sprouted. I'm so excited. So we'll see if any of that fall stuff actually takes off. It's really crazy to try and think about a fall garden right now when I still have like all of these tomatoes that haven't even ripened yet. I haven't even picked a tomato and I'm already like, oh, I gotta get my cabbage going. And then we have the left side of the garden. So this and these 2 right here, this is King of the North bell peppers. I'm like, look how, this was the first one that this one set, and it's getting so big. Look at these small bell pepper butts in there. Hi, look at you. And then down here, those are the only bell peppers that I have, and then I have a few varieties that are like seasoning peppers, Some unique ones I'm really excited to tell you about, and then these are my only hot peppers. So if you're looking for someone with a million hot peppers, sorry, I'm not your gal this year. For the seasoning peppers, my first two plants are a Jimmy Nardello. Look, he's hanging all the way down because it's got this massive pepper. It's so big. Like, seriously, look at that. That's insane. I have been contemplating picking it just to kind of prompt the plant to make more. It's just, they are supposed to ripen and change color, so I know the flavor won't be what it could be if I pick it early, but I'll probably do it soon. I just honestly wanted to see if it would touch the ground first. These two are a variety called Arroz con Pollo. This variety was one of the ones that kind of took the longest to get going, but now that it is, I'm really, really happy with it. This one and this one is Corpachi, and same kind of thing with like these really long, like seriously, like really long peppers. Oh my god. And also supposed to ripen to a color, but I might pick them just to make the plant want to make more. Another lovely basil, doing its basil thing. This is a habanada. It's a habanero variety that is bred to not be spicy. It's supposed to just have the flavor. And then these right here are called nadapeño. Same kind of thing, but jalapeno. Bred to not be spicy. We've picked a few of the nadapeños already, and definitely picked them early. Didn't let them mature. It's not like they're going to change color, but they definitely develop more of a flavor if you leave them on the plant. And right off the bat, it just tasted like a green pepper. I was a teeny bit disappointed, but I'm willing to like let the season continue, let it get some heat as we get into August. I know peppers really love heat, and I'm hoping the flavor kind of changes a little bit more on these, and that these habanadas come through with a nice flavor, and it's not just like, oh, it tastes like a bell pepper. And then the hots, I've got a variety called Poinsettia, which sets a crap ton. Like, look at this. It's nuts. And it's starting to, I just pruned it recently, so it's starting to send off more side shoots, which is going to send off more flowers, get bushy, set more fruit. This plant actually had something that took a few bites, and looks like they promptly stopped. And then this is the poinsettia as well, but I left two together, and that one's just one. So I just kind of want to see, experiment, how they do. This was a really lovely surprise because the marigolds that I got from Walmart were not two colored like that. None of them were. They were all just solid orange. So the fact that that one came through like that is like, I feel so blessed. Thank you. Welcome to my garden. And this is my last hot pepper, and I'm so stoked about it because this was also a massive science experiment. This is from seeds that I got from a store-bought jalapeno. But I mean, it's doing great. Like, look at this. That's a proper jalapeno right there. So my next row of beans. On this side, there was another 3 varieties that I planted, and again, most of them in the middle did well, and then there was one that like barely did anything. I've got another borage here that just, wanted to attract more pollinators. This first variety is called Provider, and that one's just like, these ones on this side are all pretty standard green bean. I just wanted to see kind of a comparison of different varieties. And then this one here is called Landreth, Landreth. Basically, same kind of thing. Maybe it's slightly longer pod. This one was actually the first one to set flowers, this variety. Another marigold, and this last variety is Jade Bean, and it's just this one. I'm really surprised it's even in existence because right after it originally sprouted, something came through and gnawed it down to just the stem. I was convinced it was dead. There must have been enough chlorophyll left that it was able to send out some leaves, and here it is today, trying to do its thing, trying to send out some little side shoots down there. You can do it! You can be beans! Got some more borage because I just really want to fill up the whole entire space, and more basil because I'm looking for pesto. This is called holy basil or Tulsi basil. It's not a basil used for culinary purposes necessarily. You can make a tea out of it. It's more medicinal than anything else, but it smells fantastic, and it's starting to flower, and it has these beautiful kind of periwinkle blue flowers, so I'm excited about that. This is called a toothache plant, and if it takes off a little bit more and starts to set some flowers, the flowers are basically something that have a compound that if you chew them, it makes like your mouth and gums and tongue go numb for a little bit. And I guess it got really popular in like fine dining and bartending and stuff like that as like a neat novelty thing to add. This is the other chamomile, the one that I put in the ground, and it's getting nice and established too. So I don't think either of them are gonna flower this year, but next year we should get some. This row is lacking because it does not get enough sun, but this teeny tiny thing is called a tiger melon. Should be a small, like personal sized melon, but right now it is a personal sized leaf. It's like doing nothing. This just needed some sun, but this is a citronella plant. So I've just been coming out now and kind of rubbing up on it, releasing its scent. And this is a zucchini. Did this one from seed. I planted the seeds kind of late too, so it's having some trouble taking off. But the variety is Italian striped zucchini, so it'll be long and it should be green and white stripes. So that'll be really cool. Another marigold, because why not? And then this strip was supposed to be like a fourth section, like leafy greens area. I think it might be struggling because I planted them so late too. These might have benefited a lot from being planted earlier. We just didn't live here and didn't have the garden built. But Swiss chard is up front here, followed by some kale. Leaf lettuce, which seems to be doing pretty good. I need to come through and like thin it out a bit. And then spinach, which is just... Spinach is making a bad gardener out of me this year. We're gonna try it again in the fall. And then this kiddie pool does have a pretty good amount right here. You can kind of see the green of chives. It was originally gonna be like 4 quadrants, 2 different varieties of chives, green onions, and then like red bunching onions. Squirrels like it too much. I can't get it in. I can't get it going. It's just failing. I wanted it to do so good and it's not. So the plan is to actually make this a seating area. This is where the chill spot's going to be, and I'm going to move this to over in that corner, kind of move some pots around. And then what's going to happen is my strawberry plant, which is the same plant that I had at my old place, it overwintered in that pot again and got moved with me. I'm going to actually take it out of that and put it in the kiddie pool and let any runners that it produce go in the kiddie pool, and hopefully this will fill up with strawberries. And being over there, it'll get more sun, thrive a bit more, and then over here, since it's shaded, kind of makes more sense to be a chill spot. And then just lastly, rounding it out, another dill. This dill's not doing so hot because it's not getting as much sun as the one on the other side over there. Here we have some variegated oregano, which is doing really great. Strawberries are in their 3rd year with me, being in this pot, sending out some more over here, but like, these look like proper strawberries, right? Like there's like 1 or 2 wonky ones. That one right there. And then lastly, just some flower pots. I've got some nasturtium here and a French vanilla marigold, which hopefully will start sending out flowers. But this nasturtium, I think it's called papaya cream. And it just opened like 2 days ago. I'm very happy. This down here is just this little area. I've got these little plastic, you put them underneath pots, flower pots, filled them full of these little pebbles that I got in Lake Superior, and they collect with rainwater, and then that way bees and little pollinators can come get a drink without falling in the water and drowning. So that's my little pollinator drink station. And then I've got some thyme, which will hopefully do better now that it's in the sunny area. Some more flowers, which same kind of story. And this last one that's kind of just constantly poking through the gate is called Geum, I think, Geum. And it has just done nothing but produce ever since I brought it home from the nursery. The color is amazing. This is actually the least like colorful it's been the entire time I've had it. So around this corner here, oh yeah, this all lights up and glows at night. There's a lot of stuff that I have that glows rainbow colors or whatever at night. But right here, that right there, that is a carpenter bee hole. And I don't know if you remember from my old place, but I had some carpenter bees that were living in the porch and named them, and they were some great wrens, and moving, I honestly was kind of sad that I wasn't going to have them again. As soon as we built this and got these poles up and got settled, like within 24 hours, this bee had taken up residence. He is affectionately named Beelzebub, and he is our garden protector from the forest and other critters, so just a whole thing, isn't it? Just a whole thing. And then we have a few other spots that really around the house need landscaping done, but we've gotten a few spaces cleared, and I've gotten planted, so I'll just kind of take you over and do a quick walkthrough of those real quick. This spot right here along the garage is something that was nothing, so I was like, well, this gets south-facing sun all day long, how about some sunflowers, nice and cheap. So took some of that free mulch, and then took broken down wood pallets. I just took the wood from some pallets and buried them to make a little bit of a border. And the way that I sowed these seeds was kind of silly. I didn't mark where I put them. I had like 5 different varieties that I planted, and I just like randomly put them in holes, and so they came up pretty spotty. So I've learned my lesson. Really, this spot over here is going to be like the glory view when they finally start popping off. But honestly, you know, a wall of sunflowers, however big they get, however well they do, I'm going to be happy. And then along the side of our front patio, we have this whole space that doesn't look like much right now. I'm going to do a whole lot, but trust me, I've already done so much. You couldn't see any of the white of the house or the porch because it was just so full of weeds. And I came through here and cleared it out because I realized this massive few canes of black raspberries were here and were starting to ripen. We've picked most of them off already. There's still like a handful, but at this point I'm kind of just leaving them for the bugs because they're getting to them before I do. But probably close to like 2 pints I've pulled off of just from this corner. So I'm sure with some actual TLC next year is going to be probably double that. So I'm pretty stoked. Here's the like ultimate backyard view too. This awesome fire pit was built by the previous tenant. I guess he was a bricklayer. So we've got this really nice walking path that goes up. So it's got, you know, come out of the house, look at the sunflowers, walk up the lovely brick path to your fire pit as you gaze back. And at night it's just gorgeous because I've got all these lights and stuff in the garden that start twinkling. And then the woods back there is also part of our rental. So not only is it all ours, it's also filled with fireflies at night. They all just light up. It's just so beautiful. So alright, so that's my new garden. I'm really excited to share this one with you. This is a huge step up. So this is a big undertaking, and hopefully I learn a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, because there's so much I don't know, and I've already learned so much. I'm really excited to be doing this, and I'm really excited that you're here. So if you've made it this far, thanks. So thanks for coming. And since I'm trying to learn some stuff, I kind of want to start something where if there's anything that you learned from me through this tour, or anything I said, or if there's something that you've got that you learned today or recently that you want to share, I think I want to end each video by just asking you what you learned today, and just drop something in the comments so we can grow together. Alright? So thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep on growing.